Alright, so the problem that I wanted to talk about and what I talked about in my paper was the cutting of funds going towards Planned Parenthood. And it's a really important program that they have, and it supports those who need reproductive services. And so it was a big issue in the 2017 election as well. It was really well talked about to gain favor in votes. And the big issue around it is the cluelessness of what Planned Parenthood actually is. It's an organization that has a lot of speculation within it. So the solution to my problem was to kind of jump on board with Planned Parenthood. The more people who are in support of Planned Parenthood, the less likely it is to be cut funds. So the major issue surrounding Planned Parenthood is abortion, and it comes with that big discussion of pro-life versus pro-choice. And pro-life is the discussion of that life begins in the womb and that a fetus is considered a human. And the pro-choice is more about supporting the choices of the women who are involved in the situation and that they have the right over their own body. A major case that came in view was the Roe versus Wade case, and this was discussed by J.J. Caddick of Harvard Journal of Law and Public Policy. And he kind of discussed the controversy that went on and the 14th Amendment and the consideration of declaring if they would consider the fetus as human or if it was not. And in that particular case, they ruled that it was not considered human, and that really drew a big controversial issue, and it started dividing up sides on whether the fetus is a human or whether it is not. So abortion has posed a big issue within Planned Parenthood and those supporting it. Another struggle is that people think that there is a better replacement for the program, and Jeffrey Pauls from Issues in Law and Medicine think that there's a better professional service out there that could take place of Planned Parenthood. So he thinks that people who are using Planned Parenthood conduct themselves in risky sexual behaviors and are trying to protect themselves and preserve their bodies and want power over their own bodies. He thinks that Planned Parenthood is just a free ticket to sex without consequences, and he's not alone. There's a lot of people who think that. So he thinks that there's a better replacement for the program, and he thinks that this replacement might make people be more responsible as well. So as I'll talk about later, it's really hard to find the proper replacement for the program, but first I really wanted to go into what Planned Parenthood is really about. So Planned Parenthood, from a glance, reported that they currently serve around 5 million people, and 85% of that are 20 years and older. 80% are using the services in order to prevent against pregnancies. In 1 year, nearly 4.2 million people receive tests and treatments for STIs. And if you go ahead and look up at the table or the graph that I had provided, you can see that in relation to abortion, abortion only takes up 3% of services that they actually provide. So it's not really a big number, but the major issue of that is that Planned Parenthood does offer the service, and not a lot of people do. So that if people do want to turn to abortion, Planned Parenthood is the only place they can really go, or one of the only places they can really go. So that's why a lot of people who are against abortion are also against Planned Parenthood. Madoff of Healthcare and Women International in 2013 said that 3 out of 10 people in the U.S. have an abortion before the age of 45. And so they think that Madoff also said that it is known as one of the most prevalent surgical procedures in the U.S. So saying that with the 3%, it's just where women will go, because it's one of the only options that they have. But if it's only 3% of the services, there's a lot of other services that they provide, including the cancer screening and prevention, sexual transmitted diseases, and contraception's a really big issue. The population that it covers is more of the low-income population, specifically the young women and children, and they again receive those STD, birth control, and reproductive services. And as of New England Journal of Medicine in 2011, claim that until the Senate, President, American women, if they all stand together to promote reproductive rights and services, or until they do. and general human rights, women and their rights, along with their health care, will rather erode than improve. So if it's not talked about, then it's not going to be solved. And even though, again, that Planned Parenthood does support abortion or offer that service, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have other services to offer. So if we cut the program altogether, a lot of people, especially in this vulnerable population that it serves, are going to be left without anywhere else to go for these services. So replacing the Planned Parenthood, again, is a big difficulty that they have, going back to that. And they serve a lot of people, and A.J. Stevenson of New England Journal of Medicine in 2016 kind of talked about a case where in Texas they did try to discontinue the funding in 2013, and it didn't quite work out. A lot of people, the services had to go over into Medicaid, and a lot of people who couldn't qualify for that Medicaid were left with nowhere else to go. It also had a correlation with the increase of childbirth, so a lot of people didn't have that access to birth control and were having like accidental pregnancies. So it's kind of hard to find that right replacement program, and I feel like they're going to have to, if they want to cut the funds, they're going to have to figure out where else they're going to go. So currently what they're doing for Planned Parenthood to support it, they're having a lot of protests, and San Diego Union Tribune in 2017 of February, there were 2,000 people who came to protest for Planned Parenthood in Canitas, California. And so that was just one of the protests that take place, but as we know, the march in Cleveland, the Women's March in Cleveland took place, and there's a lot of different protests that go around all over the country. And normally when they have a protest for Planned Parenthood, they also have a protest for anti-abortion. It's always an ongoing battle, so they always show up to a lot of the protests as well, and the anti-abortionists will hold up signs saying, pray to end abortion, defend life, and they refer to Planned Parenthood as that abortion train. So it's an ongoing battle. So in conclusion, again, my solution lies in the numbers, and if we can kind of jump on board with Planned Parenthood, because it's not all about abortion, a lot of it has to do with the other services that it provides, and cutting the program is going to leave the already vulnerable population that it serves even more vulnerable. Thank you.